Our third presentation is Adventures of the Player Avatar Journey by Ciara Taylor.
I think it's going to be good on us. I'm Ciara Taylor. I'm an experience designer at MadPal. I design behavior change games for healthcare and financial services. But I did my undergrad thesis on the emotional attachment between a player and their avatar and looking at the player avatar journey. So I'm interested in continuing that research, and today I'm going to introduce a framework. Scroll up. All right, so our adventure today, because it's already been pretty adventurous, is going to be me just quickly going over my previous research, the avatar life cycle, which is the framework that I was talking about, which consists of creation, birth, development, transformation, and death. This mouse is not cooperating. Okay, so over 12 million people play and interact socially in World of Warcraft, and they spend 20 to 30 hours a week doing this through an avatar. So this is probably not new to you guys, but when I heard it, when I was doing my undergrad degree in 2010, I was really interested in why someone would want to spend so much time. I mean, I played video games, but why 20 to 30 hours a week in this one game? What's the attraction? What are people drawn to? Is it because of this avatar? So my previous study primarily focused on World of Warcraft, so I could have a large sample when doing observational gameplay. And then I did a small sample batch of 12 participants to gather survey data, as well as interviews and diary entries from them, which was great to understand their stories and how they interacted with their avatar on a daily basis. So these findings covered the full player avatar journey, even though I was really interested in the final stage, which I refer to as death. Getting all this information allowed me to realize that there's a full arc that we need to look at in that full player experience. So when I say avatar life cycle, I mean the relationship and journey a player has with their avatar through gameplay, so that full experience. So let's dive in. The first stage is creation. This is when the player creates their avatar and can customize by choosing things like race, gender, physical features. Some people felt like they wanted to be somebody different, so they chose things that looked nothing like them, whereas other people wanted to be reflective of their real-world identity somehow, even if it was, in a fantasy environment. Selections were often based on aesthetic, as well as some people got really into the character backstory and made their decisions based off of that. The next stage is birth. The avatar is born into the gameplay environment, and the player experiences the starting zone for the first time. So players talked about the unique starting zones. They described this and how it was very special for them for the first time when they played through and learned about their character by playing through this starting area. So they learned about their avatar's race and class, and sometimes a little bit unveiled as they learned about their backstory as they leveled up. The next stage is development. This is a stage where the player starts to learn new skills, grinds levels, quests, and specializes with their avatar. Different types of relationships began to form at this stage, which were really interesting to hear the stories around those. So players started to begin to identify with their avatars at this point, but there were different relationships, as I mentioned. Some people talked about it as a nurturing relationship. They wanted to nurture their avatar. They wanted to see their avatar it was instead of taking your first steps as a child, firing a bow for the first time, or some of the examples of the way people describe this. Some people describe this as growing with their avatar, and then others talked about watching their avatar evolve and then feeling as if it became an extension of themselves. The next stage is transformation, which was commonly referred to as endgame. The player decides what style of gameplay they will partake in based on progress and interactions with the life cycle up until this point. So the level of time and commitment in gameplay plays a key role in how the player and the avatar transform. They continue, some continue gameplay to finish the storyline, earn all the achievements, and complete all the quests. But others chose to raid because they wanted to earn all the rare and best gear. And then some decided that they just wanted to casually play and just hang out with their friends online and complete daily quests. And then the final stage, which I did most of my research on in my undergrad thesis, was this idea of death. So what do I mean by death? The player decides not to play any longer or no longer identifies with this avatar. So this could be, I still want to play World of Warcraft, but I'm going to make an alt because I'm not identifying with this avatar anymore. My playstyle has changed. I want to create a new character. So this stage also can be referred to as inactivity, stasis, neglect, or deletion, depending on how that relationship ended. And players talked about some really interesting rituals. It was as if they were trying to gain some sort of closure in this stage and these final moments. So someone talked about logging their avatar out at an in-game grave of the hero of the avatar's class. People were gifting items, giving away their in-game items to friends or transferring them to their alt character that they had made. People were emptying their guild bank even though they, because they knew they weren't coming back. And then people talked about how they reflected on screenshots and achievements and in-game memories even after they don't play any longer. So really, this is just the beginning. This is me taking an initial stab at this framework and seeing how we can do more research, learn more about all these different stages, all these different touch points in the player's journey. What can we do with that information? I feel like we can make a more meaningful player experience, and that's the hope for defining this more and creating this model that we can use as we design games. Again, my name is Ciara Taylor. You can find me at Twitter at Ciara Michelle, and if you have any stories about you and your avatars that you want to share with me, please come find me after the conference. Thank you.